Well, on Friday, the tax standoff between Governor Kelly's administration and Republican leaders hit a new stalemate, after Laura Kelly did what everyone expected her to do, and that is veto a tax proposal from Republicans in the Senate and the House. We now say hi to Ty Masterson. He is the Kansas Senate president, and he joins us on KCMO. Ty, I know this isn't a surprise to you that she vetoed it, but what did you make of the statement from the governor and where things go from here?
Oh, hey, Pete, thanks for having me on. Oh, yeah, no surprise for sure. It'll probably be the surprise to the public, right? The only one not compromising is her. We had a press conference when we signed this new one, because we've been compromising at every level, and we demonstrated basically a supermajority, a bipartisan supermajority in favor of it. So there's really 14 senators and the governor stopping this package from coming through.
Now, this proposal, by the way, would basically create a state income tax of 5.25%. Right now, the top level is 5.7% for anyone making over 30 grand or for married couples over 60 grand. So, the top threshold is pretty low here in Kansas. But let me ask you, you say there that she's not compromising. She will say, Senator, that, hey, I've got Republicans in the Senate who like my proposal better than yours. Do you guys have Democrats who have signed on to your proposal?
Yeah, we have a Democrat on the House side, inner city, because that's where it's really going to be the most beneficial. Marvin Robinson out of Kansas City stood with us at the press conference. So, we have a supermajority bipartisan group. She has a minority bipartisan group. And matter of fact, if you look at the two Republicans standing with her, they're both gentlemen that are not running again, and they would lose their elections if they did. Right? They're not accountable to the people for this. So. No surprise. We have been compromising. About everything in the plan is a compromise. You mentioned just the income tax piece, and that is a big part of it, right? And it's moving to, it's really a dual rate, exempting all that income on the bottom, which is best for the low income, and then going to a simplified rate. But we have a supermajority. The problem is we have one extra vote in the House and we're one short in the Senate.
So So even with two Republicans on her side on this, and one is a local guy here in the Johnson County area, Rob Olson in Olathe, and the other one is who? Is it Dole in Garden City?
Yeah, Dole.
Okay. Okay. So those two Republicans have.
And then you have your independent, right? You have your Dennis Pyle that. He's been working for Laura for the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
No surprise there.
Gomer, I forgot about him. Okay, so they're against your plan on this front. So can you get any Democrat in the Senate to join you? I'm sure you've tried to twist a couple arms. I mean that in a non-confrontational, non-violent way. But have you had any luck on that front?
There are a couple, right? It makes a lot of sense, particularly in the inner cities, because there's so much benefit for the low income. The $100,000 property tax exemption on the 20 mills, all that exempted income on the bottom. We do. In the Republican plan, for example, like a family of four, you wouldn't pay any income tax on nearly your first $30,000 in income, which is the bulk, right? So in the inner cities, in inner city Wichita, inner city Wyandotte, that's where we have our Democrat support right now in the House. So we're looking to work with those people. We have a gentleman out of Leavenworth that I honestly think he's going to sacrifice his own election just to stick with the party on this one. It's not favorable where he's at in his district. So we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to move. It's that important. So we're going to continue to work with as many as we can.
Yeah. So, what's next? You mentioned it's kind of a stalemate. How the media coverage is going to go. You mentioned properly it's kind of more of a dual rate than it is a true flat tax, but it gets branded as a flat tax. So how do you try to forward your side of the argument here when it comes to media initiatives and media narratives so people truly know that you're right? For lower income folks in the state, this is a big benefit when you talk about how these brackets break up.
Well, you talk to more guys like you, right? What I watch on the news is almost journalistic malpractice, right? When we have press conferences, they'll go, oh, Republicans had a press conference, now we're going to interview the minority leader. And but for me, for right now, my battle is inside the dome. Everybody knows the fact that saying things like it's not sustainable or it only helps the wealthy. Everybody inside the dome knows that's a fraudulent argument, and that's where I have to fight first, is under the dome, to get those last couple votes.
Do you see any way you can get some of the Republicans who are right now on the other side of this on your side, or do you think there's too much, whether it's personal petty politics at play or potentially folks looking out for their own futures once their terms come to an end?
Oh, I think probably Senator Pyle and Olson are probably foregone. Dahl is actually, even though we kind of jokingly call him the 12th Democrat because he votes with them more often than us, he is actually a reasonable person, and he's really going through the numbers. He had the governor try to convince him our plan was unsustainable. The funny thing is, the fiscal notes are not that much different in the plans. It's just the structure, and I think he can potentially get there. All he has to do is be convinced it's sustainable, and it is. The truth is, the only reason it's looking not sustainable is she deficit spends this year alone $1.3 billion to try to wipe out the ending balances to make it look unsustainable. And we just need to demonstrate that.
How much? I mean, we've been living it in this state for far too long. But the whole, we can't go back to the Brownback days, and the state was bankrupt, and the public schools are going to go to hell in a handbasket. How do you push back against that narrative that seems to never go away in this state?
Right. And if you want to talk about Brownback 2.0, look at what she just planned in a tax plan and a budget. She puts forward a $1.1 billion over 3-year tax plan, and then it proposes to spend $1.3 billion in deficit spending. If she continued to propose those types of budgets, her plan wouldn't be sustainable. That is what happened back at Brownback, right? We cut taxes, and then spending wasn't controlled in the middle of the Great Recession. So she's the best Brownback 2.0 we've seen recently.
What are the spending initiatives that she has that you are skeptical of that would potentially put us into that deficit?
Oh, she's doing things like, actually one of the craziest things is she's trying to pay off an arbitrage bond that actually, it'd be like right now trying to pay off your 1% mortgage when you got the money sitting in a bank making 10, 11%. We have a bond that's made us 11% in the last year that's helping close the unfunded liability on capers, and she just takes a bunch of money out of the ending balance, try to pay that off. She wants to pay cash for a prison. It's all gamesmanship to drop the ending balances to give the impression that real tax relief is not sustainable.
All right, so now you guys keep trying to work this thing behind the scenes, and do you have a timeline? I mean, I know we're pretty early here in the session, but it seems like this is going to be the biggest thing that we follow, unless there's something else we don't know about yet. So what happens here with still 3 months to go or so?
Yeah, really, this is Plan C, right? She's vetoed Plan A, Plan B, and she's planning Plan C. We'll, in working with the speaker, we pull back to do something. We feel like we got to do something on property for sure, but this probably is the biggest story coming out this year. And if not, I'm comfortable fighting out in the elections in 2024. We'll move on and try for relief next year again.
Well, yeah, how do you think that's going to play? You noted here in Johnson County in particular, where obviously Democrats are going to try to make a lot of gains and break up your supermajority. Are you going to hammer the county hard and sell your side?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll be watching, Senator Ty Masterson. Thank you for the time, and we'll see how this all plays out. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Pete.
All right. You as well. That is Ty Masterson on KCMO Talk Radio.